Ready. I'm Annie Combs, and I teach 6th grade science and social studies at New Miami.
Okie dokie. So, how many students in your classes, that's all of them, are documented ADD, ADHD?
Oh, I would say there are 7 documented. As in, like, we know, we have it, we've got plans in place for them.
So, how many would you say are suspected?
Many more.
Many more?
Yes, many more.
How many students in total do you teach?
We have 54 this year.
Okay. So out of those 7 that are documented, are all of them receiving prescribed medications?
Do I know that they're all getting their medication?
Do you know? Yeah.
I don't know that they're all getting their medication.
Okay.
There are 3 that get it here. The rest of them do not receive it here. They get it either at home from their parents in the morning or the afternoon, but we don't personally give it to them.
Okay. Are there any of those students that exhibit behavioral issues in
Absolutely.
the classroom?
Even the ones that we know that
Even
have
the
it.
ones that are okay.
That we know get the medicine, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Then this next question is a little bit redundant, but you would say that you definitely notice a difference between. Would you say there's a difference between students on and off the medication?
Like ones that are prescribed, can I tell the difference when they take it and when they don't take it?
When they don't. Can you tell the difference?
Definitely.
Okay.
Huge difference.
And so the students that aren't on medication, would you say they contribute negatively or positively to your classroom atmosphere?
At times it's negative. At times it's just something else, another challenge.
One other thing to deal with.
At times it can be negative, though.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's negative, not necessarily to the classroom atmosphere, but just to their success, because they just can't get the work turned in, or they can't seem to focus, and they may not even be distracting anybody else, but they're very distracted, and so they're not doing what they are capable of doing.
Okay. And so when they do act out, or when they're being distracted, how do the students around them tend to respond?
It depends on the kids. Some of the kids, when they act out, they have, oh, there goes so-and-so just being nuts again, and they kind of ignore it. Some of the kids, it's a distraction to the whole class when they act out, and depending on the severity of it.
Okay. Now, onto a kind of slightly related topic, what role do the parents of the students with ADD or ADHD play in their child's education? Like, that is basically, how do you collaborate with them?
Again, it depends on the parents. Some of the parents are very actively involved in, keeping contact with if there's changes in medication, making sure, that all work is turned in, that they're being organized, that what their grades are. I mean, there's a lot of communication. Some parents, there's no communication. Even when we make the first efforts, there's no reciprocation.
So with those parent interactions, the ones that are very invested, is it a daily thing or maybe weekly? Is there a particular structure you follow?
Not really. It's more of just making sure that they're updated when issues arise, and then, periodically giving them positive reports too. There's not like a set form that we send home every week that says, hey, this week they did great, this week they did not. It's just a kind of need-to-know kind of basis, I guess. And then conferences.
Conferences, of course.
Several of those parents make sure that they're at every conference, and several of them are not at every conference.
And so the ones that obviously are continually invested are the ones that tend to show up to conferences.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, with those students in your class, how does that affect you as a teacher?
Like in the way that I plan?
Yeah. How do you plan, and how does
Well, just basic classroom management stuff, like making sure that they're separated from their best friends so they're not distracted by, oh, guess what happened? You know, just keeping them, making sure that they're not sitting next to people that are going to be a distraction to them because they are easily distracted. And making sure that the things that I plan are not going to involve, like, the entire hour and a half. Making sure that it's broken up and it gives them breaks and they move from one thing to another. And it doesn't just help the kids with ADHD, it helps all of them because to some degree they all don't want to just sit there for an hour and a half.
So in terms of your in your planning or teaching, does it make it easier or harder to teach your class? Or does it not affect it really?
I guess, to be honest, I don't know, because I've always had multiple kids with ADHD, and so that's what I've always had to do. I've never had a situation where I don't have to worry about that kind of thing.
You had a nice little perfect world.
Yeah. That utopian society doesn't exist, and it doesn't matter if you're in New Miami or in Indian Hill. You're going to have to deal with kids that have attention issues, diagnosed or undiagnosed.
So, in terms of teaching and modifications, are there any specific modifications you do make to lessons to make it easier for them to learn? I mean, you did say that you break up the lessons, but so is there anything specific you do for ADD students?
Really, I don't overly accommodate them in a way. I mean, yes, everything that we do gives them the opportunity to break it down and take frequent breaks, and those kids that I know need to be redirected every now and again, I can make it a point to get to them and, you know, say, hey, why don't you go do this, or why don't you go do this and come back and do this question, you know, here or there. But it's not, I want them to be able to, that they need to understand that they have to be able to function too. They cannot use their ADHD as a crutch or as a reason to not get things done, or as a reason to not turn papers in, or a reason to not be paying attention. Yes, I know it's harder for them, but that just means that they're going to have to work a little bit harder to make it happen.
Right.
So.
And finally, do you have any students with ADD, or that you suspect are trying methods other than medication, like just natural, like I'm not sure, like you said, some kids are trying harder to pay attention, or you've got parents who are trying to help them at home rather than give them medication. Are there any students like that?
Not to my knowledge, but I mean, again, sometimes the communication between home and here isn't great, so there may be some that are trying to do other things, but they haven't communicated to us what strategies we need to do. I mean, we just do what we normally do with those kids that we suspect, just like we would do with the kids that we know. So it's not, I mean, I don't know of any of our kids that are trying to work through it in any other way other than just ignoring it and telling them they have to do better. You know, coming from home. From us, it's just we do what we do. So,
okay.
I don't know.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add on the subject?
I will add that part of my I'm not going to overly accommodate to them is in part that I was undiagnosed with ADD all the way through school, and I never had any medication, and I just found things that helped me focus and helped me pay attention, and I was able to go to school on an academic scholarship. So I know that not every kid is going to be able to do that, but I also know that every kid is able to maintain some level of control on their own without having to use the medication as a crutch.
So there are definitely ways that they can maintain it without medication.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Sure. Oh, and my sister, on the other hand, she was on medication for it. After I went through, I said, hey, you may want to have her checked and see if there's something that can help her out. And she was medicated for ADD, so.
Okay.
Yeah, both sides.
Cool.
That's it.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.